The show's specialist subject on a Tuesday is technology, and I'm joined by Professor of Cyber Technology at University of Ulster, Professor Kevin Curran. Hello, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Phil.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on to the show today. We've got plenty to get us up to the 1 o'clock news, and I'm gonna start with everybody's favourite cesspool of misery, X/Twitter. Well, we've got a British hacker must repay £4 million after hijacking celebrity Twitter accounts. I remember this happening. Because it used to be my main social media, like X, and it's probably where I've got the most followers. But also, nobody really posts it anymore because the algorithm's so dead that you post something, nobody sees it. That's what I'm saying anyway. My own personal thoughts.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Yeah, this is 5 years ago where Joseph O'Connor from Liverpool was convicted of hacking on Twitter, or X, Twitter at the time. What he did was he compromised 130 accounts, including those of Barack Obama, Joe Biden and Elon Musk. And then what he did was he used their accounts, of course, which he got into, and then he said, look, if anyone sends Bitcoin to this address, a wallet address, I will double it. And of course, too good to be true, but a lot of people fell for it, and he made 4 million in that. He got 42 Bitcoin by doing that. Now they tightened up after that because nowadays, because he got access by social engineering, and basically he rang up people and he says he was basically I'm the IT team, I need to verify your password or whatever. They handed it over. He was able to log into the control panel and literally go down to the accounts and start to use them. Now they've tightened that. In other words, now for there's accounts, and as you can imagine, like Donald Trump, that are safeguarded. To access that on a computer, if you were working in X right now, you just couldn't log in. You have to have 2 or 3 other people who also had part of the password, basically, to allow you to log in. So in other words, an individual can't do it by themselves.
If you're Donald Trump and you're like, on you're trying to log into your X password, he's not like swearing out the window going, I'm not getting my code through on my phone. It's not 2-step verification, it's probably 3 or 4.
Well, no, he would still have the same, because he would have just 2-factor authentication, more so that Twitter employees, ex-employees, can't just log in.
Okay, yeah.
For these high-profile accounts, and not just him. We're talking about everyone from the Saudi princess and Keir Starmer. You have to, multiple people have to approve it. Mm-hmm. It's like the way you do in transferring of funds, really. The best practice is one person just can't hit send and send £1 million to a bank account. In the best practices, what you have is people, multiple signatures, multi-party signatures.
Yeah, and your fella who got done for that, as it tends to be quite a lot of the time, these hackers are always very young, aren't they? Like they're like, I feel like any TV show I ever watch about hackers they're always teenagers.
It is. It's it's like mathematicians lose their edge after the age of 30.
Is that
very
so?
much? You're never going to get Fields Medal if you don't have it by your late 20s. There is a finite window for mathematicians to do the best work. No matter how smart they are, they all know it, and they're all aware of it. That into their 30s and 40s, yes, they can make progress, but they'll never have the insights they had when they were younger. It's also like real life as well. You only have a finite window when you're younger to build your career. Yeah, and that's really in your 20s. Mm-hmm. And of course, you should do the foundation work when you're younger in school. But believe me, if you just whatever, and you wake up at the age of 30 and says, I want now to be the best in my, you definitely have.
You need to be working at that beforehand.
Yeah, 20s is when you do it. 30s is, of course, you're perfecting that. You're moving up the ladder and you're building your family and everything else. And 40s, yeah, of course, no. 20s is when you really build your expertise.
Well, when these hackers get caught in the movies, they always get flipped and then they end up working for the FBI or CIA. This guy's just going to jail, right?
Quite often, but he has no skill set they need. He just is social engineering. Yeah, it'd be different if he wrote the entire code and automated it, and then they would be interested. But no, this was like a a lo-fi hack. But of course, it caused he made money out of this.
Speaking of which, let's move on to the AI firm claiming Chinese spies used its tech to automate cyber attacks, which is the most terrifying sentence I think I'll probably say today.
Yeah, in the cybersecurity world, we're really interested in this because there are different Gen AI models which are taking over the world. Of course, OpenAI is most famous, but there's one called Claude from Anthropic. Again, it's what we call a frontier model. But what they seen was an attack which they attributed to China, which we've never seen before. The amount of automation. It was 90% automated by the AI. First of all, of course, humans were involved in saying, look, we want to be able to attack these systems. Go off and probe them, come back and write a report and tell us where all the vulnerabilities are. And the AI does that. It compiles everything about the sources, the IP addresses, the ports, and it comes back. And then the humans, again, just spend a little bit of time and saying, okay, we want to concentrate on that. Off it goes and does it itself. Over about up to 90% of this attack was done by automated AI, but it was also so sophisticated that security people are actually shaking their heads now, and we know that that things have changed within the world of cybersecurity because of generative AI. Just AI has made it so much easier for hackers, and of course, then to defend against this, we have to use AI within our systems operation centers as well. We've moved up a level of complexity that none of us would have seen 2 years ago. None of us have seen this. So we're scrambling to be able to defeat something which is so fast. And, it's godlike level intelligence versus humans. Computers work so fast. People underestimate the technology we have. In your iPhone, if you have one right there, you have about 80 billion transistors. If you ask, what's the most common human-made object on the planet? If you sat down and think about it, you might think, okay, car tires, a lot of them, a lot of bricks in houses, whatever else. No, nothing compares to transistors. You have not 800, not 8 million, not 8 billion. You have 80 billion transistors which hold the data in your phone, the ones and zeros. And these are etched, again, like the Seagate. Now, Seagate don't do that, but this type of atom level technology as well. But computers have become so fast, and networks have become so fast as well, that nothing that a computer can do 10,000 years worth of reading, in seconds.
It's a terrifying statement, that isn't it? Like, because you know it's good, but you don't know it's how fast until you actually really hear it.
No idea.
What about the cyber ransom ban?
Yes, the UK government is one of the first countries ever to ban the paying of ransomware. Ransom. So again, ransomware is where the hackers come in and they encrypt all your systems. You can't do any work, and then they come along and say, look, please pay us X amount. Or else we'd release the data or whatever else. So traditionally, up to lately, 50% of ransomware attacks were paid. 50%. The government come along and says, no, let's stop doing this. Because really, the only way, ultimately, of course, the only way to stop ransomware attacks is to obviously have your system perfect, which is not going to happen anytime soon. The other way is to hopefully stop paying them, and then they'll move on to other countries, other areas, or just give up again. So there are, of course, cybersecurity insurance is now a must for large businesses, for most businesses really, but they actually encourage paying it because they find that paying the ransom is cheaper than the loss to business.
Yeah, of course.
No, I agree with this. I agree that we should stop paying them. Even though there will be outliers, there will be damage done, but I still think, no, don't give the scumbags any more money.
But isn't that like the case with, like, if you look at it, like, what the governments, like, we do not negotiate with terrorists, we do not negotiate. But is this not the same sort of thing? You're being held to ransom, you're being blackmailed. Surely, there should be a more robust way of protecting yourself against this, really.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, obviously our tools are getting better. Our enterprise tools are getting better. Everything's been coming locked down. There's things you cannot do on your computer now and install software on a computer that you could years ago. We've removed the admin rights, which were by default, which is best practice. We have better detection systems as well, but also the hackers are also improving all the time, and they send in code in different ways that we hadn't seen before. So it's always a cat and mouse game.
It used to be the case that just like, somebody might send you something over a messenger or an email, and you would open it, and that would be them in control of your computer. Yeah. Is that still the same way? Do you still have to basically give them the opportunity, or can they get in there anyway?
90% of the time, the low attack vector is phishing emails. Again, but you're seeing our emails becoming better. Quite often I get 5 or 6 quarantined messages from Exchange each day, and then I have to release one if I think it's real.
Yeah.
So now we're blocking more than before. So email is becoming better, but there's still ways around that again.
Yeah. So stepping out of AI and the hackers for a minute, I want to talk about the Tech Tides conference, which is coming to town.
Yeah, the Tech Ties conference. There's about 600 attendees in the Millennium Forum today at a conference again. So it's the brainchild of a Derry-based entrepreneur, Alistair Cameron. And again, we're going to see Alchemy, for instance, John Horkin, who's been on here many times, and also, and other companies, again, London Dairy, Chamber of Commerce, and everything else. And the conference is focused on social media, AI, and just entrepreneurship within technology. And so it's actually it's free if you're not getting food. So anyone around today should go to Millennium Forum and check it out.
Yeah, it's on right now.
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, well, listen, but don't start. You can go after the show's over. Hugo will not mind. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. If you can leave us with one parting thought, one way for us to be a little bit safer on our gadgets and computers.
Is update whenever you see an update for your operating system, update that. Whenever you see an update for a piece of software on your machine, update that. If you have got software on your phone, on your computer, you're not using it, remove it, because that could be the way the hackers get in. So if you're not using it, remove it.
That's it. Well, I've been getting updates or wants of updates for about 3 years now. Maybe I should do it. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. It is the Mark Patterson Show, and myself, Phil Taggart, and we'll be back after the news at 1.
On BBC Sounds, your radio, TV and smart speaker, this is The Northwest at 1 on BBC Radio Foyle.
BBC Radio 4 News at 1 o'clock with Elaine McGee.